Okay, we're up to Daf Kuf Yud Amid Beis, after Kuf Yud Amid Beis, and we're discussing the third case of the Mishnah. Let's just go back to the Mishnah and Kuf Yud to see the case that's under discussion. The Mishnah had stated a person was married to two Yevamot Ketanos, and he dies. The brother can do bi or chalitza to either one, because again, they were of equal footing. Remember, the rule of thumb in this Mishnah was, if it's equal footing, you could do either one. If the unequal footing, you have to do the one that's the higher level. The same thing applied to chareshos. If you had two chareshos, we proved yesterday you can't do chalitza, but you do bia to either one. The brother would do bia to either one of the dead brother's wives. And then came the problem cases, ketana v'chareshes. A man was married to a ketana and a chareshes. And the question at large is which was his favorite? And which they seem to both be kiddushin derabanan. Ketana being the fact that she's a ketana, chareshes being the fact that she has no das. So the Mishnah said, "Ein bias achas mehem paiteres tzarasa." The bia of one doesn't pater the tzara. And the Gemara is going to try to figure out, so exactly how do we free these poor girls from the zika of their dead husband? You have a ketana, you have a chareshes, husband dies, she's flown to Yibum. You're telling me that one action done to the other does not pater. So in fact, how do we go ahead and matter? That's the question at hand. First, the Gemara will make just a observation. So we're up to Kuf Yud Amid Beis, right before the lines get wide, 3 lines up. Ketana v'chareshes, ein bias achas mehem paiteres tzarasa, the bia of one will not pater the tzara. Rav Nachman, says Rav Nachman, ashkechase l'Rav Ada bar Ava, I found Rav Ada bar Ava, Rav Chana, Chasnei, and Rav Kahana, his son-in-law. The Yasvei, they were sitting, and literally a crowd was gathering around them in the Shuk of Pumpadisa to hear their words of wisdom. Or they were asked, the second Rashi Pshat is, they were asking questions back and forth to each other. And they said the following, Hadit Nan, our Mishnah, Kitana v'chareshes, Ein bias achas mehem paiteres tzarasa. That's when Hani Mili the naflele me'achiv pikeach, that the brother who died was a pikeach. So you don't show no favoritism either way, whether his favoritism was to the ketana or his favoritism was to the chareshes. Lo yadin on ibi ketana nichalei, ibi chareshes nichalei. Ibi ketana nichalei. What would the advantage be to ketana? The asilachal deya, because eventually she'll be normal. She'll have das. Ibi chareshes nichalei. Why? Because she's a gedola now. Ubaspiyahi. In other words, so when he's a pikeach, and meaning he's different than both of them, then we have our shaila, which one is preferable. What happens if he is a cheresh? Aval nafla me'achiv cheresh. If the brother that was married to the katana and the chereshes, he himself was a cheresh, vaday b'chereshes nichalei, vaday his wife that he desires more, his number one wife is the chereshes, the basbiyahi, ubasminahi. She's a basbiya because she's a gedola, and she's basmina because she's a chereshes, just like he's a cheresh, and therefore you wouldn't say ein biasei pateres tzarasa, but you would say that the brother should be boiled the chareshes, and that would pater the ketana, because again she's the preferable wife of the dead husband, and that would pater. V'amina lahu, and I said, Ana afilu naflolei me'achiv cheresh nami mesavkalei. It doesn't make a difference. The Mishnah doesn't make a difference whatever status the dead husband was, whether he was pikeach or even if he was a cheresh, the same suffix would arise, who is preferable, and therefore, since we don't know who's better, then you can't do bia to either one. You have to free them. Now, here's the question: Ketzad tankanton. How do we go ahead and free this cheresh and this ketana? How do we free them again? Until they're free, they're Yevamot l'shuk, they're unable to marry somebody. How are we able to free them to enable them to marry others? So Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, Amar Rav, says Rav Chisda in the name of Rav, koinis hachareshes, you do yibum to the chareshes, and then what? Why don't you do chalitza, guys? Ki chareshes can't do chalitza. Remember, you can't do chalitza to a chareshes, so you do yibum umoitzi beget. Now, why does he have to divorce her? Because the katana tamtim at shetagdil the tachlitz. Because you wait till the katana gets older and then does chalitza. Now, the chalitza of a katana, if it's a good chalitza, kivin shebana shula yivne. Once by sechuru bana sheibanim. Since the chalitza of the katana was a chalitza, it would make the bia of the yibum of the chareshes not a yibum. So therefore, he's mitzvah beget. So very good. Using this formula, the chareshes now being a divorcee will be able to marry. The katana being chalitza will be able to marry. That would free them both. Again, you can't do chalitza to the chareshes. She's not a bas chalitza. You can't let them stay together because the chalitza of the katana might be a chalitza. And if it's a chalitza, it's going to asa her as kivin shabana shelo yivna. Once you buy a sechuru boina, and v'leishtei batim, and therefore you'd be out. Okay, that's the rule of thumb. Guys, good. Now, the Gemara. This to understand next piece Gemara. Please listen to me very well. Both what they have in common, the ketana and the chareshes, is that their zika is not a full zika. That they're not fully attached. They're not like a regular woman. However, there is a difference between the two. The Gemara takes on and keeps that the chareshes is acquired. She is the wife, but not completely. There's a kedushin there, but not completely. She's a wife, but not completely. The katana, she's either a full-fledged wife or nothing at all. In other words, we're misupik whether she's married or not married. So we know in both cases it's a kedushin de rabbanon, the cheresh lacking das and the katana being katana. However, the mechanism that behind it is a different mechanism. Why is it a different mechanism? Because the Gemara states the following. The Gemara states that the katana, let's do the chereshes. She's married, but not completely. And the katana, we don't know if she's married. Yes, maybe not. Rashi speaks out. How do you know that maybe they're both married a little bit? Maybe they're both married and left over. Because if that's the case, then the bia of one should pater the other. If they're the same status, then one should go ahead and pater the other. And when we know the Mishnah says they don't, it must be the status is different. And what's the difference in status? That the chareshes is married but not, leaves over a little bit, and the katana, we don't know which one. Once we have that, the Gemara will go a little bit better. Okay? So they're both lacking in a full-fledged marriage. The katana is lacking, we don't know if she's married or she's not married. The chareshes, we know she's married, but only up to a certain extent. The marriage isn't complete. With that in mind, let's begin. Amar Rav Chisda, Shmamina from Rav's din that you can go ahead, be miyabim the chareshes, then divorce her, and wait for the katana to get old in the chalitza. Chareshes knuya u'mushieres. A chareshes is acquired and left over. Katana knuya ve'enu knuya. The katana is acquired, but not completely acquired. The katana is acquired, but not completely acquired. How do you know that? The isal kedaita chareshes knuya ve'enu knuya. If you can say the chareshes is either completely yes or completely not, and katana knuya mushieres, and the katana is acquired but not completely. In other words, the opposite of what we said, that the katana is the one who is acquired, and the chareshes is not. My kindness u'moitzi beget. When you go ahead and marry the chareshes, why do you have to go ahead and divorce her? Tituf gabei, let her live with him. Mimanav shach. Guys, let's do it outside before we see it inside. Rav's eitzah was the following: to go ahead and mata the chareshes and the katana. The katana with a chalitza, and the chareshes with a yibum and a get. Now, let's say the chareshes was miman of shach. She was acquired or not acquired. Notice we don't know. So let's say she was acquired fully. Then when he did yibum to her, it's a full-fledged wife. And then the katana should go free with nothing. And if she's not acquired, then he should be able to stay with her because she's a nachriyas. She's not even a Yevamot. So when our Rav said you have to be moitzi beget, obviously we can infer that the chareshes can't be the state that we stated by the katana, that may be married, maybe not. Because if may be married, maybe not, he wouldn't have to give her a get. Mimanav shach, he could stay together with her. If she was acquired, then she's a full-fledged Yevama, and he could stay with her. If she's not acquired, then she's not. Then the whole Yibum doesn't apply, and he's being Mekadesh, a strange woman. Says the Gemara. Tiyasev gabe mimanav shach. If the chareshes is kanuya, she's acquired completely. Kanuya he, and therefore what? When he went ahead and was miyabim her, it's his wife. Ve'ilav kanuya he, and what? And if ilav kanuya he, and if she's not acquired, hanachris ba'almahi, then she's a complete nachris. Ella, it must be that the chareshes is acquired, but not totally, and therefore it leaves room for the chalitza of the ketana to asaha. As the halacha of shnei batim, you don't do two. Guys, you good? So it's involved. Now the chitema ketana, amay tamtemat shetagdo v'tachlitz, right? Why do you have to wait till the ketana gets older and do chalitza, right? Tiyas gabe, let us stay with him. Ikanuyahi, hakanuyahi, and ilav kanuyahi, l'chraisa ba'almahi. Okay, so why can't you let them stay together? Why do you have to give chalitza to the katana? Let it be me. In other words, fellas, why don't you do yibum to the what? The katana. If you do yibum to the katana, you're telling me the katana is acquired or not acquired. If she's acquired, then it's your full-fledged wife. If she's not acquired, then it's a nachris. So why did you say do chalitza when if she's the one that's acquired and not acquired, he could have stayed with her? And the Gemara's answer, you're right. But we're looking for a takana for both. If you go ahead and do yibum, that would not, the chereshes would be stuck. Says the Gemara, Ilav kunuyihi nachruisa ba'almahu. In Cain, if you're going to let the Yavam do yibum to the katana, chareshes b'mat tepuk. How are you going to get rid of the chareshes? You won't, guys. Could you do yibum to the chareshes? No. Why? Because you did already chalitza yibum to the second spouse, with the co-wife. Can you do chalitza to the chareshes? No, because the chareshes can't get chalitza. So beautifully, al karchak, we have to ascertain the takana of Rav. We can, in other words, Rav Chista is ascertaining from Rav's takana that it must be that he holds that the chareshes is koina but not totally, and it must be also the katana is either totally or not. Right? What's the svara outside? If the chareshes was either or not, then when he did yibum to the chareshes, they should stay together. So therefore you're going to say the chalitza. So the katana. So once you do yibum to her, why do you have to wait till she gets old and do chalitza? Because if you do yibum to her, you won't be able to free the chareshes, because the chareshes is kaina, there's a zika there. In order to remove the zika, you need what? You need chalitza, which you won't be able to give. Therefore, the only alternative is to do yibum, be mitzi beget, right? And then you'll be good. And then she would go free and she would go free. That's the case. The Gemara now is going to spend time proving Rav's point that the katana is kana ve'ena kana, and the chareshes is what? Kana and a little bit left over. I think it's clear. I think it was pretty good. If I say so, I think it was good. So a hard idea. Okay, says the Gemara Rabbi. Amrav sheishes hachanami mistarba, the lashon of a proof, right? The commentaries of Chista, like Rav Chista gave a teretz. What's the eitzah of Rav? It must be that the cheresh is acquired, but only a little bit, and the katana we don't know. Aliba the Rav, the Tanya. Shnei achim nestu and shnei achayos yisaymais. You got two brothers who are married to two sisters, yisaymais. Katana, the chereshes, katana v'chereshes, and once two brothers married to two sisters, yisaymais. Katana v'chereshes. One's a katana, one's a chereshes. Meis baila shel katana chereshes Yaitzi beget, the katana tantamat shetagdil, the tachlets. Meis baila shel chareshetz, katana yaitzi beget, the charsha. So what happens over here? If the maybe let's try to get a picture over here. This might be helpful. Let's get a picture. Where's my book? Okay, page 309. Two brothers married to two sisters. One's a katana and one's a chareshes. So they're kedushi d'Rabbanan, one because there's a katana and one because there's a chareshes. First right side, let's say the baal of the katana dies. So what do? The chareshes goes free without a get. Shit's achas sukukaso. Guys, they're sisters, remember? So the chareshes would go free without a get. She goes free with a get. You can't marry her, you can't do anything to her because she's achas sukukaso. And katana, you wait till she gets older and then you give chalitza. Then you wait till she gets older and gives chalitza. Next column, meis baila shel chareshes. If the husband of the chareshes dies, katana yaitza beget, again, and the chareshes asur l'olam. And the chareshes what would be asa forever. The chareshes, you have no way out with chareshes. You can't give chalitza and you can't give yibum if you went in that order. And then it says when bala chareshes, let's say you would live with the chareshes after you divorce the katana, nice and laget v'huchul l'shuk. Then it would be chal, and then she'd be permitted to the street. Okay, then she would be chal and she would be permitted to the street. Okay, let's see it inside. Titania, Shnei Achim Nesu and Shnei Achayos, Yisaimes Katana v'Chareshes. Meis Baila Shel Katana Chareshes Yos beget because she's Achas Kukasoi. Since what? Since the katana might be a Kenyan gomer. So again, if it's a Kenyan gomer, then it's a full-fledged wife, and it's Achos Kukasoi. The katana tamtem at with tachlis. Meis Baila Shel Chareshes Katana Yotza beget. The katana goes out with a get. The chareshes asur la'olam. Because then she's going to be achos gerusha so, and chalitza is not possible. So you have no choice. Why would the chareshes be asa? There's two possibilities. You either do chalitza or yibum. You can't do chalitza because she's chareshes, and you can't do yibum because she's the sister of your chalutza, of the woman you gave divorce to. Achos gerusha so, because you gave a get to the katana. So she's totally out. Then bola chareshes. And if you do, you're over the Aveira and you live with her, then you'll be able to matter all you they get. You can tell me like Rav that the katana, that the chareshes is acquired but not fully, and katana kanuya, we don't know about the katana. That's why if you come out to the chareshes, you give a get. The hutra, the army imanushach, katana kanuya he hanafik mishamachasisha. Then what she's free as achasisha. Eloi kanuya, and if the katana is not kanuya, shapa miyabim, then it's good yibum. Eli amid chareshes kanuya, many kanuya. If you can say the opposite, if you can say the chareshes is acquired or not acquired, and the katana is kanuya mishayeres, kibala chareshes, am I nice and get watra? When you live with the chareshes, why could you give her a get and get her off the hook? When you live with chareshes, why do you give a get and get her off the hook? Havle be a psula. It's a bia psula because she's a shtickle achas isha. Again, if it's a mitzas, it's kind of a mitzas. She's a shtickle achas isha. It's a bia psula. Will be a psula like patra. So Ella must be when you say that you come on the chareshes. You can be might be get. It must be because she is kind of partially, and the katana is not at all. Because either or. Because if speaking that if you're speaking that the katana was acquired, and a little bit that would make the chareshes what. That would make the chareshes achas isha, and therefore, if the man was with the chareshes afterwards, it would be a bia psula. Says Gemara, or bia psula like patra. Bia psula what doesn't pata. Says the Gemara, and no, says we have no raya. Ken zayin that what the chareshes is koina and not koina. Ken zayin the katana is only koina a little bit, partially. And who's the hamani? Reb Nechemia. The amma bia psula patur mechalitza. That bia psula patis from chalitza. So therefore, you have no raya. That's all he's saying. You have no raya. It says Reb Nechemia ema seifa, right? Let's look at picture 312, page 312. Guy is married to, right? The guy is married to a katana and a chareshes. 3 brothers. One guy is married to a katana and chareshes, and now he dies. The Yavam lives with a katana, and then he goes ahead and lives with chareshes, which he shouldn't have done because he's doing it. He's being do yibam to two from the same house, right? What's the din? Or his brother lives with the second one. So the halacha would be pasalas a katana. So pasalas a katanas. Chareshes yaitza beget. Chareshes goes out with a get. The katana tamtim until she gets chalitza. Okay, so let's see that case inside. So it says Gemara, Irim Nechem, you have a problem. Ema Seifa, Misha Haya Nasu Shtei Yisaimois Katana B'Chareshes Umeis Boyav Mal Katana B'Chazal B'Al Chareshes Oisheba Achiv Al Chareshes Nesa Shtei Malav. They're both asa. Ketza Tekanta. How do you fix it up? Chareshes Yoitza Beget. The Katana Tatnamat Shetagdil the Tachlitz. Iamit B'Shleima Chareshes Kanuyim Shieretz like Rav. And Katana Kanuyim and Kanuya like Rav. Rabbanon, he who say that be a psula doesn't pater. Mishum hachi tamtemat shetagdil with tachlitz. That's why you have to wait till she gets older to chalitza. The dilma kodim bol chareshes bereisha. Maybe you will go ahead and be boil the chareshes bereisha. If you boil the chareshes bereisha, you would have been mekayim the mitzvah of yibum on that mitzvah that's kaina. So and therefore what? You won't be able to go ahead and do chalitza because you wouldn't be mekayim that partial kinyan. If you can say it's Reb Nechemia says be a psula patis, I'm a be a psula patra. Then why would the katana need chalitza? The part of a kinyan should acquire the whole. Whatever part, that little bit that was there. If you're telling me not like Rav and be a psula doesn't passel, the be a psula that you had on the what on the Yevam on the katana should matter her. And not require chalitza. El shmamina when you require chalitza, rabbanon it's the rabbanon that source that a bia psula does not pater, and therefore the bia on the bia of psula on the child on the katana could not pater, and therefore you need the chalitza. Shmamina. Amravashi Maresha Nami Shmamina. Okay, so the Shmamina what guys? That Rav's din is that by katana it's you mesupik whether you're kohen or not. And by chareshes, you kind of a little bit. And you want it, now we disproved it's Reb Nechemia, it's got to be the Rabbanon. And now Rav Rashi says, Meresh Nami, Shema Mino, it's the Rabbanon. The Ktani. In Bola chareshes, if he lives with chareshes, Noisin Laget, V'chutra. For like Ktani in Bola Katana, Noisin Laget. And it doesn't say if he lives with the Katana, he gives the get. Now the Bia of the Katana is the Bia Psula. Since the kinyan of the chareshes is partial, she's partial achas ishtay. Again, the bia of the katana, if you boil the katana, it's a bia psula because since the kinyan of the chareshes makes it partially an achas ishtay to the katana. And if you divorce you divorce the chareshes because it's achas krusha soy. For hutra, says the Gemara, in Balak Katana nice and laget for hutra. So the chayra, you see from here that a bia psula doesn't pata. Imishum la'irya chareshes the leslie takanta the terik the chareshes that there's no takana because you can't do chalitza. Therefore, we learned the takana. Katana is like takanta the tera like tani takanta. Katana that you had the heter bad of chalitza. We didn't go ahead and say that this is the kind of bia, even though bia l'chayra would be okay if you hold it bia psula would be acceptable. I think that's the pshat in the Gemara. A man is married to 2 katanas. Let's say he's boiled both of them. Now he shouldn't be, but he is. So the halacha is that he stays with the first one. The bia of the second doesn't passel. It doesn't make a difference. Why? Remember, guys, what's the status of a katana? She's either all or none, correct? She's either acquired completely or none. So if she's kaina, then he lived with her, he's mekayim the mitzvah of yibum. And then the bia with the second one, mastama bia is nus. Again, this is predicated upon understanding the previous Gemara. The status of a katana is she's either acquired by both or not. She's either acquired or not. It's a suffix. So let's go to the suffix, miman of shach. If she was a Yevamot, she was acquired by the dead brother, then when this brother has relations with her, he's mekayim the mitzvah of yibum. Now someone has relations with the other one, that's a bias nus. It doesn't affect the fact you could stay with this one. And if they weren't, it's sad that they weren't acquired, then both women are nachriyos. And therefore there's no problem. You just married a woman, not al sibum, but you married a woman, stam kedushin. That's case number one. Good? Fellas, good? Next case. Ketana and a chareshes. Married to Ketana Chareshes. Okay. Now, what's the law? Really, he's boiled to Ketana, he should be able to stay with the Ketana. Really, he should be able to stay with the Ketana Miman of Shach. If she was Mekayim Yibum, you did it in a Yibum. If it's a Nachriyah, you should be able to stay with her. But what's our concern? Our concern is this. Let's say he would do the Chareshes first. If he does the Chareshes first, since the Chareshes is acquired a little bit, it would pass the Ketana. The bia of the katana, who might be full-fledged wife, will pass the chareshes because by echad v'leishtei batim. So this scenario where he would do the chareshes first and then the katana, she will be puzzle. Thus, in this case, even when he does the katana first, we'll say it's puzzle because of the gezerah. Maybe it may come to do the chareshes first. If you do the chareshes first, there's no raya they can stay together. She has to leave because again, the bia done to this one will passel her. Remember, because this is a full-fledged bia. This could be a full-fledged bia, could be not. So she'd have to leave al suffix. So in this scenario, even though the bia of a katana should work in man of shach, either she's a yavama or a nachriyas, it doesn't work because of this concern, this possibility. Next scenario, pikachas and chareshes. Take out the word katana, put in a full-fledged wife. So clearly, the pikachas stays. She's a yavam gomer. She's a full-fledged wife and stays. The bia with the chareshes is a bia as nus. The Rambam says you need a get. Okay. Conversely, the opposite way, even if you live with the chareshes first, it doesn't passel the pikus, because again, the pikachas is the raisa. This leaves over something. Whatever she leaves over, this is totally acquired. So this doesn't apostle this. Final case is a gedoyla and a katana. If it's a gedoyla, it's yibum gomor. If it's a katana, it doesn't passel the gedoyla, because maybe there's no kinyan at all. And if she's a katana first, then shtei bottom, she would be puzzled. Why? Because the gedoyla is certainly a kinyan, and this may not be a kinyan, but they'll need a get because of the bia psula. The zika of the katana would go ahead and passel the yibum from doing the gedoyla, be a bia psula. Bia psula doesn't pata, therefore you would need what? You would need a chalitza over here. You would need a get because of psula. Okay, that's the Mishnah according to this chart that we made so many years ago. So let's see the Mishnah. Misha yinasa l'shtei yisaymos katanos umeis ubo yavam al rishayna b'chazu by lashniya oishaboy achav al lashniya amid beis lay pasal as the rishayna. It's not going to pass the rishayna. Why? Because again, the rishayna was a full-fledged. She was a mamanushach. She's either the manushach. She's either a katana. She is a katana, she's either kanuya, she's either acquired, or she's not kanuya. If she's acquired, then she's a yavama. If she's not acquired, she's a nachris. The chain base chareshos, the same deal would be by two chareshos. Now the next case, katana v'chareshos. What about a katana v'chareshos? Bo yavam al katana v'chazav al chareshes, or shaboy achav al chareshes. Pasal is the katana. It would pasal the katana. Now, why would it pasal the katana, guys? If the katana is kanuya v'eina kanuya, one of shach, should be good, right? We said kanuya, she's a yavama, not kanuya, she's a nachris. And the reason is because of the next case. But yavam al chareshes v'chazav al katana. If the yavam loses the chareshes and then loses the katana, or shaboy achav al katana, pasal is the chareshes. It would passel the chareshes. And because of that case, it would passel because of the zika, a possible zika of the katana. Pikachas v'chareshes, bo yavam pikachas v'chazav al chareshes. Of course, again, that's Yibum Gomer. Bo Yevamot al Chareshes v'chazav bal pikachas Shebo al pikachas paslas Chareshes. Gedoyla Katana by Yevamot Gedoyla v'chazav bal Katana Shebo al Katana le paslas Gedoyla by Yevamot Katana v'chazav bal Gedoyla Shebo al Gedoyla paslas Katana. Now the question is, Rabbi says in that last case, we tell the Katana to do miyun. If she does miyun, then she'll be able to marry the Gedoyla. You wouldn't have the zika of the Katana to passel. There's an opinion that any case that the Katana was involved, you do miyun. So the Amar Rabbi Laza halacha Rabbi Laza. This is for you, Lenny. The Amar Rabbi Laza, the Amoira Rabbi Laza ben Padas. Halacha Rabbi Elazar, like the Tana Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. Even though they're both saying Rabbi Elazar is an Amoira, saying the halacha is like the Tana Rabbi Elazar. Stam Rabbi Elazar and Shas is Rabbi Elazar ben Padas, the Amoira. In a Mishnah, in the Tanoic statements of a Tosefta or a Bryce or a Mishnah, the Tana is Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua. So here we have a bit of a jumbled. We have Rebbe Laza saying the halacha is like Rebbe Laza, so it's important to know. Like in Yeshiva, they didn't explain this to you. It's Rebbe Laza, the Amoira ben Pados, saying the halacha is like Rebbe Laza ben Shamua, the Tana. That we tell them to do miyun. We tell them to do miyun, and this is similar to the halacha we saw yesterday, where where the three machlokes between a man who was married to a gedolah and a katana and fell in front, and they were sisters, and they fell in front of a brother and was married to the katana. Man was married to a Gedoyla, died, the Baal Gedoyla died, fell. We said, like Rabbi Eliezer, you tell him to do miyun, that used to be Mekayim in the mitzvah of Yibum, correct? That's what you're saying. We passing like Rabbi Eliezer. We had Machlekes Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Gamliel, and Rabbi Yeshua. Yesterday's share was to explain Rabbi Gamliel, and we concluded that Allah is not like Rabbi Gamliel. That since the zika of the ketana is stopping what? The achas kukasei from going, achas ishtai from doing Yibum, the Gedoyla, we say the man divorced Moyin, she does Miyun, get her out of the way, and then the brother can Mekayim Yibum with the sister of his previous wife, who just was Moyin. Says the Gemara B'Tzricha, you need to tell me both scenarios, guys. There's two scenarios. There's a scenario over here where you were Mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum already because you married her, and the mitzvah over there where we wanted Mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum. If you tell me the first case, which I just spoke out, where two men were married to two sisters, one was a Gedoyla, one was a Katana. The Gedoyla died, and now falls for Yibum to the husband of the Katana. Eliezer, this is Yibum, because you want Mekayim the Mrs. Yibum. We say do miyun to get the Katana out of the way to enable to marry her sister. To be Mekayim this Avabaha. The Kayim, it's over here, that he lived on both of them. So he's Mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum already. Emet Shavaya Lufki the get, I'd say both go out with a get. And therefore, you tell me no, that you still do miyun. Biyash min and bahar. In this case, mishum the gedoyla ramya kanei, because it was gedoyla aval idach. But the previous where she was married to a katana, I'd say you don't do miyun. Let's tell me you do miyun. Says the Mishnah, yavam katan shabal yavam katana, a yavam katan that lives with a katana, yigdalu zem zeh. Let them grow up together, and let them grow up together. And Rashi says, and he wants to divorce her. He's not able to divorce until they get older. To get cotton in a get, it gets nothing. So Yavam cotton Shabal Yevamo Katana, Yiglu Zem Zel, let them be together and give a get when he gets older. Bala Yevamo Gedoyla, let's say a cotton, there's 9.5, lives with a Gedoyla. Tigadlenu, let them go together, and then when he gets older, I guess he can go ahead and do what he wants. Hayavama Sha'amar B'Sach Shloshim Yoyim. A Yevamot that says within 30 days, Loy Nevalti, she says, I didn't have relations. He didn't have relations. In other words, he said he did Yibum and he didn't do it yet. So where then we force him to give her chalitza. We force him to give chalitza. Says Rashi, Loy Nevalti Loy Yavam. I had no relations with the Yavam. The woman is saying, "We get Yavam and Yotzi Vitachas Yada," and she has a get. Kimefarish beGemara. But who Oimer Ba'alticha, and he says, "What? I did a bia, b'dayim beget, and I don't have to do chalitza." In other words, he said, I did a bia, so she's my wife. That took off the zika, and therefore I just need to give a get. She said, you never did the bia. You gave me a get, but you did not give me what? Chalitza. Then we'll force him to do chalitza. Kaifu say lachlights. The hina menes, she's believed before 30 days. For 30 days, a person holds himself back from doing bia. So therefore, we have a circumstantial evidence over here substantiating what she's saying. Again, the whole question at hand is, do you need chalitza or not? A get she has, but as we know in this Masechta, a get can't take off a zika. You need chalitza. She's saying that there never was relations. Had there been relations, then he would have acquired her. She'd be his wife, and the get would be enough. She says there wasn't relations, and therefore the zika is still intact, and I require chalitza. We force him to give chalitza. That's the case. Back in the Gemara. After 30 days, we'll go ahead and ask him. After 30 days, we'll ask him to go ahead and we'll ask him after 30 days to go ahead and do it. Now, what's the difference before 30 we force and after 30s we ask? Let's see the top Taisvis. Mahu mafsid im choylitzla. Why do we ask him? What's he losing? Guys, you hear? What's he losing? Why don't we force him? What's the sweat of his back? Says the Gemara, he's embarrassed to go to Bezdin that she spit in front of him. That's what he's losing. His covet. The covet of having a woman spit in front of you. That's why we only ask him and not force. Why don't we force? Because after 30 days, he's believed to have done a biyah. And therefore he says, the get I gave you was enough to matter you. He's not saying he's not keeping her on aguna, guys. He's saying the get I gave you is enough to free you. It's not, and chalitza is not required. So why we're only going ahead and asking, not forcing, is because since it's after 30 days, we assume that he did do a biyah. If he did do a biyah, that would take off the need for a chalitza. Okay.
Why don't we assume that under normal circumstances, when a person gets married, within 30 days he did a biyah? Why do we have to ask or believe her?
We say up to 30 days a person is believed to say not. You're going to connect the Gemara, Heshi. Your assumption is connected the Gemara. The Gemara just previously said, Rashi quoted the Gemara.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm trying to understand the havamina of the Gemara.
It's not a havamina, it's a maskana. It's not a havamina, it's a maskana. Up to 30 days, a person won't be boiled. Think about it. A man's living with his sister-in-law, and why do you assume that, hunky-dory, let's go. So he has 30 days to go ahead and contemplate the issue. Says the Gemara. If he's moida that he didn't do biyah, then even up to 30 days, even after a whole year, we will force him. Nudin, hanayderes hanami yevama. A sister-in-law said she won't have any hana from a brother-in-law, from her husband's wife, from the husband's brother. B'chayi baila, if she did it, b'chayi baila, and then her husband consequently died, we force him to go ahead and do chalitza. He's not able to live with her. However, if she did it after Mrs. Baila to avoid yibum, then we ask him to do chalitza. And if she was mekaven l'chach, we'll go ahead and ask. Okay, let's see just Rashi over here. We'll hold back. She didn't want to get off of yibum. The husband was still alive, so she had no havamina that she's going to fall to yibum. They were angry at each other. In other words, if before the husband died, clearly she's not trying to avoid yibum. It's a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law. It could be they don't get along. So she, you know what she said? She goes, I don't want to have any enough from you. And consequently, her husband died, and now she's stuck to need him. Then we'll go ahead and ask for chalitza. We'll force him to do chalitza. After the misa, and she wants to avoid, then we'll ask. Okay, we'll get into this Bez Hashem tomorrow. Everyone should have a great day.